Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and if you've been following my reviews for a while, then I'm sure you figured out that it was only a matter of time until this shirt came along. I'm just pleasantly surprised that I'm choosing to wear it for the review of my own country, the United Kingdom. Yes, indeed, my homeland, it's your turn to come under fire. Haha, I actually used an expression correctly for once, except it's not gonna be under fire so much as just scrutiny that's fair like everyone else. I'm rambling. Once again, just like last year, the UK will be represented by Mr. James Newman, this year bringing a song called Embers, hence the fire shirt, in case no one made that connection. Yes, it's been 16 years since anyone touched Javine's fire, so clearly all that's left is Embers. I am attempting humour, and it is of dubious quality. Anyway, fully in English, we'd expect nothing less from Britain at this point. Music and lyrics by James himself, as well as Connor Blake Manning, Danny Shach, Tom Hollings, and Samuel Brennan. And, don't really have anything to add to that. The UK is actually sending a competent song for once. Wow. I mean, it was competent last year, but, like, still, it's taking a while to properly sink in. Well then, United Kingdom, James did promise us a summer banger, and a summer banger he gave us. This is quite possibly the closest the UK's broadcaster, the BBC, has ever been this century to sending something that actually belongs in the charts, rather than existing purely in the Eurovision bubble for its own sake. Don't get me wrong, I fully expect them to wind up treating this song with the same blasé dismissal that they always do in spite of that, but it isn't the song's fault it's representing a country with such heavily institutionalised xenophobia. Anyway, the song itself. Good, clean fun, and if it finishes on the right-hand side of the scoreboard in Rotterdam, I will be personally offended. Come on, Europe. We're actually trying here, and if you liked Germany last year, which plenty of people seem to do, then this should satisfy quite a few of the same needs, and don't tell me it doesn't just because it's so out of character for the UK. I'm not saying give us points because we're trying, but like, this would get points, surely! Please, Europe, please, just tell the BBC they're doing the right thing for once, please! But calming down, starting at the top, as I said, the goal was for James to submit a summertime banger, and that's exactly what he's delivered to us. James wanted to bring the party with a bop that you can dance to and forget about the state of the world to, and in that regard, I feel like this song is a 100% success story. You can stick this on, forget your worries for a while, and just have a time. And as I said, in the current global climate, little pockets of respite like this are incredibly welcome. That sense of liberation seems to come across quite well too, as far as I can infer. As an extension of that, I really want to highlight how real world this song sounds. The BBC really need the positive reinforcement here, that this is a song that does not sound like it only exists to bounce around the echo chamber that is the Eurovision bubble, and the fact that this doesn't sound alien in the real world charts is unequivocally a good thing. If you write just for Eurovision, you have already failed. But if your song, like this one, has a lease of life beyond the contest, that's not only great, that also helps your credibility and your chances on the scoreboard too, because people will hear it in the charts, think, oh, this is a good song, see it at Eurovision and go, oh! If nothing else, I find this song to be suitably memorable. I only had to hear it once or twice and the hook stuck with me. That can't be a bad thing. On the technical front, I do want to call out the lyrics too. Granted, it is a bit of a mixed bag in places, but when they're good, they are really good. The refrain is my main focus here, that it brings to the table the semantic field of Embers, hence the title, but it uses the analogy in a non-tired, non-utterly played out way. Even more generally than that, the words are presented in a prosodically satisfying way that shows the writing team are familiar with what sounds good to a large audience, for the most part. On the whole, it's very well written. One specific example of that, I can't help it, I have to shout this out. The line, "You and I are gonna light up the room," and the fact that it's repeated so much, it's grammatically correct. I know it sounds pathetic, but you have no idea how elating that is for me as someone who was raised as a disciple of prescriptivism within the study of English as a language. I won't bore you with the details, but there are so many songs out there that would have said, me and you are gonna light up the room, or some variation of that, and that's objectively wrong because you can't say me gonna do something, and the first person pronoun has to come last in the list anyway. Just in a music industry so saturated with grammatical errors because poetic license, it's such a relief to hear a song getting it right, and so proudly for a change. I know, I'm a nerd and I haven't brought this up since Sweden 2016, but just let me have this, please. Still, just because it's my own country doesn't mean that it's immune from the other side of this review. So I'll start with a minor thing, the backing vocals in the refrain. Because of the way the lyrics are structured, is it just me or does it sound like the backing vocalists hesitate and trip over themselves? Like, they're singing the right words, they're not making a mistake, it's not supposed to sound awkward, but it definitely comes across that way to me. Like, the part where it's like, light up the light up the room. Like, it sounds like they hit their cue too early and stumble as a result, even though that's not what's happening. Is it just me? That might just be a me thing, but that's how it sounds to me. And I'm the one doing the review, so, yeah. On a larger scale, I am worried about how it's going to come across live in general. I could be mistaken, but James doesn't look fantastically comfortable as a dancer, for one thing. And there's also the risk of the whole thing kind of underselling the summer party banger vibes that they're going for. Don't have absolute mosh pit chaos on the stage, obviously, but give it colour and energy, for goodness sake. And I also worry about the backing vocalists again, but this time because of the shrill nature of their lines. Consider, if you would, the backing singers for Greece in 2019 and their weird crow coring, or the backing vocalists for Finland in 2018. They're similar in that they have to be suddenly shrill as backing vocalists. I struggle to believe that in this song they'll sound as good on a live stage as they do in the studio. I just hope that whatever solution they find doesn't end up dragging the song down when it's presented on stage. And finally, the lyrics of the song. As I said, kind of a mixed bag. When they're good, they're really quite good. But when they aren't, they are offensively mediocre in places and they run ideas into the ground rather gleefully. The first verse especially seems very easy and basic, which gives it the impression of just being there to fill time before the refrain, and that the refrain is the main event of the song with everything else just being noise to augment it and justify its presence. I get the idea of wanting to be accessible to as many people as possible, but as I said with Cyprus this year, there is a limit where it stops being accessible levels of English and starts just being flat out patronising to non-native speakers. But I know that wasn't the intention here, so if you're a non-native speaker of English, do you find this song is too easy, or do you find it to be fine? Because, no, honestly, all opinions are welcome here. In the meantime, though, numbers. There is always a risk when rating one's own country that one might over or underrate it as a means of compensating for the inevitable conflict of interest that'll arise. So I'll call this a personal 9 and leave it at that. I am so proud of my country for actually submitting a song that doesn't utterly miss the point of the contest for a change. And I hope that the last 2 years aren't just a coincidence and that the BBC actually is turning something of a corner when it comes to showing Eurovision the respect it deserves. I'm not just giving it a 9 for that reason, though. I do like this song sincerely. It's a bop. It belongs on the radio. It's going on my playlist for sure. Now all the BBC has to do is actually treat this song like a song and not drop it like a ton of bricks once the contest is over with, like it usually does. On the technical side, meanwhile, I'll settle for a high 8 for the time being, with room to change over the coming weeks, naturally. There's a lot going in this song's favour, including James's energy, the intended danceability and chartability of the composition, and the overall credibility of the package as a whole. There are just those minor gripes here and there that make me worry, like how demanding this is on the backing vocalists and how simplistic the lyrics can be heard as in some places. Further, while I like the use of the brass instruments in the main hook, I do worry that they might sound a bit thin and synthetic, which undermines the impact of the whole thing somewhat. Then again, it is a very memorable song with a very memorable hook based on my experience thus far, so maybe I'm overreacting here a little bit, I don't know. I'm just grateful that I don't have to be ashamed of my own country this year. Now though, when it comes to commenting on the BBC's handling of the pandemic, in this particular instance with respect to Eurovision, they get a passing grade, but make no mistake, their approach this year does leave a lot to be desired. Sure, they did the same good that many other broadcasters did this year in internally guaranteeing last year's artist a place at this year's contest and letting them have free reign over their new entry, but unlike so many other countries, they took their sweet time in announcing anything to that effect. James already said right out of the gate last year that he was ready to go back and try again. Like he said that pretty much as soon as the 2020 contest was cancelled, but the BBC waited until almost the 11th hour to even confirm they were going to take part at all. Never mind that he had been selected, much less to provide a date or promotional materials or anything to build hype for this song other than a lazy, oh hey, nobody cares, but Eurovision news later this week, yay, bumper on TV. Not a good look, BBC, but at least you did the bare minimum to earn that pass. Hey. Now though, let's talk hypotheticals. The UK is a member of the Big Five, so qualifying isn't an issue. But what if they did have to? I'd weigh in James's favour, which pleases me no end. Partly because the UK votes in semi-final too, so in this imaginary scenario they would also be competing in it, and that's the wide open one full of female-led bangers, so it would walk the line between doing what's popular and standing out with a unique selling point because male vocals instead of female vocals. But how will this fare in the grand final? As I said, if this did worse than 15th, I would be sickened and scandalised. If this finished in the 20s, I would be disgusted. As I said, I'm not saying the UK deserves a good result just because they're actually trying this year by any means. That sort of tokenism is wrong and cheapens the success of people who actually worked to get where they are. But this song is working to get to where it is. I do think this is the sort of song that would easily finish on the left-hand side of the scoreboard if people didn't think twice, if this were sent by a country with a more credible track record. To be clear, I don't think someone will listen to this song and go, oh, this is great, I'll vote for it. Oh no, wait, it's the UK, can't vote for them, they're silly. No one thinks like that, and if you do, you're stupid, no two ways about it. I just worry that people will be naturally hesitant and cautious simply because they might assume bad faith. The UK is sending something credible, what's the catch? Where's the punchline? Etc. I hope that those fears are unfounded on my part. James deserves a respectable result, and there is nothing more disheartening than sending a song that is nationally viewed as credible and worthy of a good result, only to see the scoreboard and getting no points after no points and thinking, well, what do we have to do? It's not fun drowning in poor results, and this song deserves to turn that around. Please, Europe. But as ever, I will throw it over to you lovely people. Listen to the song for yourself, let me know what you think. Am I barking up too many trees that aren't actually trees at all? I'm not sure what this metaphor is. Do you like this song, is the bottom line. In the meantime, James, I wish you the very best of luck, and indeed luck to your whole team as a whole, completely everyone involved. Go and make us proud in Rotterdam. I'm sure you will, I hope you will. Please make us proud in Rotterdam, please.